Okay, so now when we talk about Azure, why Azure? Any idea? Why we want to learn Azure?
I think so. I just heard about it's a cloud firm. That's why I'm okay.
Okay.
Is it
Okay. First, what we'll do, I would like to have your introduction, and I'll introduce myself. Then we'll jump into why Azure. Yes, can you introduce yourself? What is your technical skill set? Where are you working? What knowledge you have? What is your educational background?
actually? My name is Nirav Patel. I'm just passed my BCom Bachelor of Commerce in 2010. After that, I starting networking courses and CCNA also, but not certified. Also doing some hardware and software courses through NIIT India Private Limited. After that, I completed that all courses. I'm starting my first job as a system administrator in NIIT, where I'm learning that all things. They means
Mm.
uh, I'm just all certificate clear. So one vacancy there. So I just joined that company as a senior engineer, like system administrator. After that, I'm complete 1 year, and after that, I changed that company and means working in a system admin in IBM as a third party payroll, and the client was Adani. So
Okay.
total 9 years experience in that. So in that 9 years experience, I'm working in different company like IBM, HCL Technologies, again IIM Ahmedabad. After that, HCL Technologies, and last one was TCS. So in that 9 years experience, I have total more than 7 years experience in hardware and network side, like
Mm.
troubleshooting L1, L2.
Mhm.
Also in my TCS, I just completed two projects. One of Windows 7 to Windows 10 migration, and second one is uh, the cyber security course. So in that cyber security course, I'm just learn too many things like suppose cell point, IAM, tool point, Okta, and monitor ticketing tool service now. Also, I have patch management knowledge in my previous company. I just come almost 13,000 system. I just deploy Windows patch through IBM Oven tool, TEM tool. So also I have knowledge for that one.
Mhm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So after that, right now I'm sitting on bench. So basically, in my previous project, they provide me L1, L2 tag for cyber security,
Mhm.
but they don't provide all access for that one because of it's a banking and finance project.
Mhm.
So it's a difficult for me for choose another project because of they provide me L3 support. So I'm not able to do any L3. Also, I'm not a developer. So they provide means they almost I'm receive the call uh, for developer side for Java, Python. So I'm not able to do any single time because in my experience, I'm just learn like support side, not doing any developing part. So I discuss with my colleague and also my brother. He's in DevOps right now in Pune. So he told me don't go anywhere. Like go to troubleshooting part, go to network sites, choose any one project. Like choose any one subject like cloud, you have interested for cloud, so you go in cloud like Azure, AWS cloud. You have going to server side, so going for only server side, not doing anything.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I'm choosing Azure. That's why I'm choosing
Okay.
Azure. And I'm go to after Azure. I think so as soon as possible I complete it and doing certificate. So I just starting my AWS cloud course.
Okay. So let me introduce myself and my company. So uh, my company name is Cloud Sparkle, and we are into IT, managed IT services and training services. Okay, so when I talk about the company, we are headquartered in Bangalore, and
Okay.
we have team of around 10 to 15 people on contractual basis working with us. Now we are providing a lot of migration services where you have physical to virtual, virtual to virtual, on-prem to cloud, etc. And we catered all kind of services. So we were awarded Company of the Year in the year 2022, and also we were awarded as the International Visionary Award in the year 2024, and it was awarded by uh, the actress. I forgot her name. Uh, and we are partnered with a lot of OEMs for services. And now, when I talk about myself, I'm the founder of Cloud Sparkle and the director of Cloud Sparkle. I have around 18 years of IT experience, which includes 7 years of experience in training, where I have delivered around 35,000 hours of training. Around 3,000 learners have got trained under me. I have excellent record of project completions, and I have strong leadership, managerial, and analytical skills. Now, when I talk about my candidature, I am certified as a Microsoft certified trainer, and I have various industry certifications. So this screen shows mostly of Microsoft certifications. Apart from this, I am also certified on ITIL, ITSM. I am VMware certified. AWS is given on the screen. Now I'm also certified for. I currently got certified from the EC Council, and I am preparing for my next certification in the coming year. So this is a small intro about myself. So now when we were talking about Azure. Why Azure? Right. So now, first of all, Azure is the Microsoft platform. And since long years, most of the organizations are directly or indirectly dependent on Microsoft products for their business show. So when we talk about Azure, we it is a cloud platform. Now in cloud, we have three prominent players. We have Azure, we have AWS, we have Google Cloud Platform. So so till the year 2019, AWS was leading the 46% share of the cloud market. Now, since then, Azure has started dominating the share of AWS, and to some extent, Google is also dominating. So, when I say what is the share of Azure cloud, right? So, you can see as of 2025, Azure holds 22% of of the cloud market, whereas AWS has 29%. You can see from the year 2019, the share of 46% got has dipped. Now, Google Cloud holds only 12%. So you can see that 29 plus 22 and plus 12. right? So it is around, if I say 63% are share is of the overall readers, right? 29, 22, and 12. So total 63% of the market share is holded by the top three cloud players. And share, in the remaining share, we have the another prominent players. So AWS is dominating because it is based on Linux, and Google is also based on Linux, but the AWS was the first company to launch the cloud services in the year 2011. And since till now, still it is the market leader. But now Azure is approaching closer to AWS as Azure is more friendly, and precisely it has the benefit of having the Microsoft technologies underlying and integration with them. Now, when we talk about Azure, so here our journey is going to begin for Azure AZ-104. Azure AZ-104 is the starting level administrator certificate for Azure infrastructure. Now, it is recommended that you should have a knowledge of AZ-900, but if you don't have, still it's okay. I'll give you some notes where you can go in 2-3 days on the AZ-900. So what I'll do, I'll give you first the link of AZ-900 where you can sit in your free time and go through it. I'm giving you this link in the chat box. Right now, this link says 1 day. Might you will not be able to complete in 1 day. If you continuously sit for 9 to 10 hours, you'll be able to complete. Now, it has three sections: 1, 2, and 3. Right. The describe cloud services, describe architecture, and describe Azure management. Right. So I would recommend that you should go through this in this week. So it will help you to understand better when I'm talking about what is a region, or I'm placing my virtual machine in a specific region, etc. Right. I hope my sound is clear, I'm audible, and you are able to understand me.
Yes, Santosh. Sometimes it's breaking, but after that, it's maybe easy for me listening. Sometimes it's one, two, three times it's breaking, but
You're
now
using
it's
mobile network?
no, no. I'm just using my home Wi-Fi, broadband Wi-Fi.
No. Okay, maybe I don't know. I'm using broadband only. I have 200 Mbps broadband line.
Yeah, but sometimes you just talk about AZ-900. That time it's breaking, and after
Okay.
that suddenly it's going fast forwarded. Like that's why.
So there is a latency issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now when we talk about Azure, so first of all, let me log into the Azure portal. I don't know, it's at your end or at my end, the issue. I'm changing my connection just a sec. Okay, I'm logging to my Azure portal. Now this is the landing page of Azure. This is the home page of Azure. Now, when we land to the home page of the Azure, we can find a lot of things. So here I can see some common Azure services which I have accessed, some recent resources which I worked on with, I can add, if I have added any resources to favorite, I can see that. Apart from that, if I scroll down, I can see, I can navigate to my subscriptions, my resource groups, my all resources, my dashboard. And here we have some tools. We have Microsoft Learn also, the same link which I have shared for AZ-900. We have cost management, Defender for Cloud, Azure Monitor, and some useful link for documentation and Azure services. Even we have Azure mobile app also for management. Now, it will not give us full-fledged features for Azure, but we have some limitations or a lot of limitations in the mobile app. But still, we can manage to certain extent on the go. So we don't need to be, if we are having existing resources on the cloud, we can manage them through the mobile app. It is not possible to create new resources on the mobile app, but we can manage our existing resources to some extent. Now, apart from that, Azure gives us dashboard. Now, when I navigate to dashboard, this is my dashboard, right? Where I can see some tiles of lot of things. Now, this I can organize as per my requirement. I have the feasibility to add another tiles or remove existing. I can edit it also. So if I edit it, you can see I can add another tiles from here, which I need, and I can remove existing if I don't need it. So I'm not going to edit it. So let me cancel it. Yeah. And even I can, when I'm editing it, I can rename it also. And I can create multiple dashboards. So each user can have their own dashboard also. It is not necessary my same dashboard should be visible to you. This is my private dashboard. Each user logs into the Azure portal can have their own dashboard. And we can clone and we can share our dashboard to another users also. Okay. And we can enable auto refresh. We can give the time zone for how long we need the data to be populated on the dashboard. Apart from this, now here we have the search box. We can search for the known services for whatever service we are looking for. So apart from that, here in the tile button on the left hand side, we have this three lines button, and here we can see we can create a source again, home, dashboard, and favorite services. Some services which Microsoft thinks that which will be used more are added to favorites. And if we go to all services, we can see we have all services based on the categorization. So we have all favorites, recents, recommended for you, and categorization of the services. So if I go to the compute service, you can see I'm having a compute service. Right. So this is my compute service. In compute, I'm having again subcategorization of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, serverless and microservices, high performance computing, hybrid cloud, etc. So I can have my services here based on the compute category. I can go based on the containers, I can go based on the DevOps, I can based on the IoT, and I can add this any service to favorite also. Right. So I can add to favorite. So now it is added to favorite. I can remove from the favorites also if I don't need it. So any services which I'm working with more. So let's there is a DevOps engineer which uses some DevOps services more. Let's say they are using network connections more or load testing more. They can add to favorite so they can access those services frequently. Now apart from that, so why I need to use the UI only. So now the Azure services can be accessed through three mechanisms. One is your UI through the Azure portal. One is using the Azure shell, right? So here we have the Azure shell. So if I click on the Azure shell, so you can see I am having the Azure shell. Now Azure shell has two kind of components. One is the PowerShell and one is the Bash shell. Now, generally, PowerShell is recommended for Windows users or the admins which are working mostly on Windows. Bash shell is recommended for the admins who are working mostly on Linux to have a flexibility of using their scripting language. Right. So you can see here now here I'm connected to the Cloud Shell, Azure Cloud Shell. Now Azure, this is based on Azure CLI, command line interface, right? So this here I'm getting the PowerShell version. I can switch to Bash also. I can switch to Bash. So let's switch to Bash. Now from PowerShell, I am switching to Bash shell. Now I am on the Bash shell. You can see here. I can go back to PowerShell, switch to PowerShell in Cloud Shell. Now this is my Cloud Shell. What if, what if I want to access it using my own physical machine? So I can install the PowerShell module for Azure also. So I can go and launch the PowerShell on my machine and I can install the Azure module for PowerShell. I need to install Azure PowerShell module on my machine. Now let's see on my machine whether I'm having the Azure module or not. So if I say get Windows feature, sorry, I forgot. Get module I need to run. Right, so you can see now it is showing me the list of all the modules available, right? So I ran this command. I'm having these modules available. Now you can see I don't have the PowerShell module. This is my normal Windows 11 machine. I don't have any PowerShell, sorry, any Azure module. Right, so I can install the Azure module as I showed with the this Azure module for PowerShell we can install and we can manage from our machine itself. Right, install module name AZ. I can run this command and I can install the PowerShell module for Azure. I can manage the Azure from my machine itself. Apart from that, we have also Azure APIs, SDKs, or I can say Azure APIs. And Azure API is also there where you can have your code written and you can fetch the Azure services from your code. Right, so we have different parameters to manage the Azure services. Some commands we'll be seeing in the Azure shell or in the PowerShell, and mostly we'll be working on the UI mechanism. Now, in order to pursue Azure, what prerequisites you require? What prerequisites you require? So first of all, it is recommended to have networking knowledge. It is recommended to have Windows Server knowledge. Third, required PowerShell knowledge. Now, PowerShell knowledge is not recommended, it is required. You can see here. It is required. I'm saying required. It is not recommended. Here it is recommended. You can parallelly. It doesn't have dependency. But if you don't have networking or Windows Server knowledge, you might not be able to understand some concepts. But PowerShell knowledge is required compulsory. Reason being, on the basis of PowerShell only, you will be able to manage, because a lot of commands will be required to run to manage your Azure services. Hence, the knowledge of PowerShell is required. Right. So what I'll do, so I would like to ask you what knowledge you have among all three.
So I have some knowledge of like network knowledge. So how is network switch routers, L2 switcher, how to
No, I'm
working.
not talking about networking components. I'm not
Okay.
talking about equipments. I'm talking about networking. Let's say you should know what is subnetting, supernetting, how it works. You should know some networking protocols, DNS, DHCP,
Yeah.
R, etc. Right? Ping, etc. Port
So
numbers.
put I know the but I just refer some my older uh, question answers like I'm just previously, but I know like uh, basically some few knowledge like what DNS working, what DHCP working, TCP/IP, and subnetting mask also I know, but I refer some my old book. I'm just for my knowledge. So I for DHCP it's maybe working automatic IP provide or through so discover host
Mhm.
or DH this
And
HC.
what about Windows Server?
Mm, for Windows Server, I'm working means I know few knowledge of Windows servers because I'm just in my before 3 years I'm just working to Windows 2006, Windows 2012 R2 servers. So
Mhm.
also I knowledge of Active Directory, how it's
Mhm.
work, Active Directory. So I'm just referring some my old because I'm for that one last 3 to 4 years I'm not able to do anything like in server. I'm only just managing servers, few servers,
Okay.
how it's
Okay.
work, how its
And knowledge
services
of
work.
PowerShell. On knowledge on
Uh,
and on PowerShell.
for PowerShell, I think so maybe none of the knowledge, few knowledge like that.
Okay. Okay. No worries. So what I'll do, just a moment, I'll unshare my screen. First of all, I'll give you, so as you conveyed, you have free time during daytime, couple of hours, right?
Right.
So what I'll do, I'll give you some links for Windows Server and for PowerShell. Windows Server, I'll give you my links only because my another batch is about to complete for Windows Server. I'll give you that link. It is on YouTube, so you don't need to go and study somewhere else, right? So just a moment. I have shared here. You will get a lot of insights here related to Windows Server. And for PowerShell, just a moment. I'm giving you two links of PowerShell. One is this and one is this. Right. So parallelly, you need to complete these four things, right? I'm not saying you need to complete everything in day 1 or 2, right? But you need
Right.
to complete it. Okay. So let me reshare my screen again. Now coming back. So apart from this, we require knowledge of uh, Active Directory. You should not be expert. You require basic knowledge of Active Directory, which you will get from here, the link which I have shared. And you should have basic understanding of some security concepts. Right. Security concepts in the sense like what is permissions, role-based access control, etc. Right. These basic terminology knowledge you should have. Right. So I would assume you have everything for PowerShell. I have shared it, and rest you can grab from that link. Right. As you are working, you are an experienced person, so you don't need to worry.
Okay.
So now, when we talk about Azure, so let me open a deck. Just a moment. Right. So now, when I talk about Azure, right. So first segment we have is identity, which is based on our Azure Active Directory. Now, Azure Active Directory is an older term. It is an older term. We no longer have Azure Active Directory services. So previously we used to have Azure Active Directory services. Now it is renamed as Microsoft Entra ID. Now, what is this Azure Active Directory? Right. So let me go to the whiteboard. So first of all, we have on-prem Active Directory, which we say as Active Directory Domain Services. We term it as Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. We have on-prem. On-prem means we are, I hope you know what is on-prem, what is cloud, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we have on-prem Active Directory services. Now in the cloud, we have two types of Active Directory services. We have two types of Active Directory services. So first is the Azure Active Directory services, which was known as AAD. Now this has been renamed as Microsoft Entra ID services. And the third, if I say, third was known as Azure Active Directory Domain Services, which was known as ADDS. And this is renamed as Microsoft Entra Domain Services. Microsoft Entra Domain Services. So now this is my on-prem, sorry. This is my on-premise Active Directory. So I have the full control. I need to manage the domain controllers, servers underlying the operating system, everything. And even I need to deploy and maintain the Active Directory services. Whereas in the Azure Active Directory scenario, this is a cloud-based identity solution. Cloud-based identity solution. And here we don't manage anything. We just create users and groups, and we just manage those users and groups. That's all. We don't manage any underlying infrastructure, or even we don't even manage the Active Directory also. Whereas when we talk about Azure Active Directory domain services, so it is a similar concept to our on-premise Active Directory domain services. So, but here we don't manage again the domain controllers. We don't manage the server operating system. So this is a Microsoft managed Active Directory domain services. So we get full-fledged similar environment as we have in our on-premise environment. Here, Microsoft provides us with two domain controllers in high availability mode. So as we have DC, ADC concept here, so the similar concept goes here. They provide two domain controllers. If by chance one is down, another is there to support. So, but here what we can do, we can create a jump server. We can deploy a server and we can install our set tools, remote server administration tools, and we can access the Active Directory console on this server. And we can manage the directory services completely as we were managing in our on-premise environment. Again, it is a cloud-based Azure Active Directory domain services. The new name is Microsoft Entra Domain Services. The new name Microsoft Entra was changed around November 2003 or July 2000, sorry, 2023. I don't remember the exact tenure, but probably it is July to November 2023. It got renamed. So this is a glimpse of Active Directory services. Now we will be having a lot of dependencies on the Active Directory services. Now, apart from that, the basic component, what we have in cloud are three only. So when we talk about the Azure cloud, the main categorization of components is divided into three categories. We have compute, we have storage, and we have network. Most of these services will be falling in either or multiple categories of this only. For example, my VM is there, virtual machine is there. Now my virtual machine will fall into a compute category, but it requires a storage. So it will need a storage also. It requires to communicate on the network. So it requires networking also. But main category of this will fall under the compute category only. Clear till here? Any doubts, any questions, any concerns?
No, Santosh, all clear.
Okay, so now I would like to highlight that Microsoft Azure has some cloud deployment models. Right? So when I go to Google and I say cloud deployment models or Azure cloud deployment models, right? So we have public cloud, we have a private cloud, and we have a hybrid cloud. Now, what are these three clouds? Right? What are these three? So when we talk about public cloud, if my organization is there, let me open the whiteboard. If my organization is there, right? They are setting everything in their own environment. That is example of a private cloud. Now users can access this environment outside the organization also. So that data center is in their own how in-house, they are controlling it. Now this data center technically can be physically in that location or physically somewhere else also, but they have the full control. They have taken the space for rent. They have taken the rack space for the rent or servers on the rent. That is immaterial. But the physical devices are in their control. Operating system deployed is in their control. Everything is there in control. They have deployed firewalls, routers. They are managing everything. So that is an example of a private cloud. Whereas when we talk about the public cloud, so we are going to a cloud service provider, CSP. Now, cloud service provider, as we discussed, we have three prominent players, AWS, Azure, and Google. Here we are talking about Azure. So customer is or organization is setting up everything in the Azure cloud. Their all servers are set up in the Azure cloud and users access those devices from anywhere on any device from the Azure cloud. So this is an example of public cloud. So we have public cloud, we have private cloud. Apart from that, there can be scenarios where organization is already having their private cloud, but now they need their some of the resources, maybe older or maybe new, to set up in the public cloud. And they need that they should be integrated or should work with their private cloud environment. So they are making a connectivity between private and public cloud, and they have both the clouds together working. So this is an example of hybrid cloud. This is an example of hybrid cloud. So we can have private cloud, we can have public cloud, and we can have hybrid cloud. Apart from this, there is one more concept of the share responsibility model. We have share responsibility model. Now, what is this shared responsibility model? Right. So here we can have on-premise environment, right? We can have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So we have basically three categorization of the services. So when we are deploying any service in the cloud, right? So we have service categorization or platform categorization. So basically when I say, so this we went public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, and uh, cloud computing models. Um, Okay, we'll go to this link. Just a moment. Let me see if I'm having my slide created on this. Yeah. So let me reshare my screen. Right, so basically we have three types of cloud service models, cloud services. So we can have infrastructure service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Now, in infrastructure service, the most flexible cloud, this is the most flexible cloud service. And here, the customer is responsible for configuring and managing the hardware and the hardware application. Whereas in platform as a service, this focuses on application development. So here, customer gets the platform ready. They need to simply deploy the code and they are up and running, right? So they can publish their application on the go. They don't need to provision any underlying hardware environment and uh, create these deploy the virtual machines or anything and manage the operating system. They have the platform, just they will write their code and publish it. Whereas software as a service, here customer needs to do don't need to anything. So here they have the application ready. They go and subscribe to the application and they create their data. Right. So I'll give an example. So if you are creating a virtual machine, that is an example of infrastructure as a service. If you want to host a PHP, Python, Java application or a website, so that you can go and deploy as a platform as a service, you write your code, go and select your code uh, platform, and you are ready to deploy. You don't need to deploy a physical server. You don't need to install an operating system, any antivirus, and maintain anything. Right? You just take the platform, what you need, Java, Python, PHP, .NET, and deploy the application. That is an example of platform as a service. Software as a example, Office 365. It is a software as a service platform, or OneDrive, Google Drive, Gmail. That is an example of software as a service. So we have cloud services. Cloud services can be consumed in infrastructure, platform as a service, or software as a service mechanism. Now here, whenever we go and procure cloud services, we have a concept known as shared responsibility model. In on-premise environment, the complete ownership of everything is borne by the customer. What customer needs to take care, customer also needs to take care of the physical data center, physical network, physical servers, operating system, network management, applications, identity and directory infrastructure, accounts and identities, devices, mobiles and PCs, and information and data as well. Whereas in the infrastructure service, so these are three cloud platforms. This is an on-premise environment. In infrastructure service, Azure says, you don't worry about physical servers, physical network, physical data center. I'll take care of that. You take care of the operating system and above layer. Whereas in the platform as a service, Azure says, I'll take care of operating system also. You don't need to worry about that. You just take complete control of identities, information and data and devices. Whereas here we will have a shared responsibility. What shared responsibility? Network controls, applications and identity, infrastructure underlying I'll maintain. You maintain the management of them. So you take the shared responsibility. So you can see now this responsibility shared by the customer as well as by the Microsoft. And in software as a service, Microsoft even maintains the application, right? Till application they are maintaining. The underlying identity infrastructure also they are maintaining. You just go and create the identities and maintain those accounts and identities. That is your responsibility. Right. So here we have the shared responsibility. So this is known as the shared responsibility model. So some responsibilities are shared by the organization or the customer and the cloud service provider like Microsoft, and rest are managed by the Microsoft and some are managed by the customer, that is the organization. Clear to here? Yes, no? Nero?
Yes, Santosh.
Okay, so what we'll do,
So
yeah, please.
in simple, should I speak in Gujarati also?
Yeah, you can speak in.
Yeah. So basically, for previous you just show that map. So
Hmm.
for my knowledge, I think so maybe 75-25 some doubts, but I know my site, what I'm doing, like what I'm learn. So
Hmm.
basically for that three ISS means that services of three components.
Hmm.
So Prem Prem who first of all just shared that if possible that chart.
Hmm.
Just hold on.
Hmm.
Okay, so on-prem
On-prem is the physical data center. Physical, you are having in your on-premise organization
for
in-house.
us, yeah. So in simple language, એક કંપની છે મારી, તો એમાં
Hmm.
on-prem બધી વસ્તુ મારી જોડે ફિઝિકલ છે,
Hmm.
રાઈટ?
Hmm.
ISS માં મોસ્ટ પ્રોબેબલી લાસ્ટ થ્રી
આ ત્રણેય
મેનેજ
વસ્તુ ક્લાઉડની છે.
આ ત્રણે વસ્તુ ક્લાઉડની છે પણ
હમ
SaaS IAS માં ત્રણ સર્વિસીસ છે છેલ્લે લાસ્ટ વાળી એ માઇક્રોસોફ્ટ
હમ
મેનેજ કરે છે, બાકીની
હમ
આપણે જાતે કરવાની છે ઇન શોર્ટ
હા,
ફોર
for example, I need a VM, virtual machine,
વર્ચ્યુઅલ મશીન. હા,
right? So virtual machine requires network, requires a physical server and a physical data center, physical aspects, correct?
કરેક્ટ.
So physical data center, Microsoft will manage. Physical network, Microsoft will manage. Physical server, physical box, right? Microsoft
ઓકે,
will manage. Your machine will go and sit on this server. So from here you are managing, and from here and the underlying Microsoft is managing.
ઓકે, ગોટ ઇટ.
Understood?
અન્ડરસ્ટુડ.
Now on-premise can be in my physical premises also, or let's say I have rented a data center from Yota or from Sifi. So मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने भाई सिफी या योटा को बोला भाई मुझे रेंट, आप डेटा सेंटर रेंट पे दे दो, मैं मेरे फिजिकल सर्वर्स लगाऊंगा, या आप अपने फिजिकल सर्वर्स भी मुझे रेंट पे दे दो, लेकिन सारा मुझे मेरे कंट्रोल में चाहिए, आप उसे हाथ भी नहीं लगाओगे एक्सेप्ट फिजिकल मेंटेनेंस के अलावा, जो मैं बोलूंगा, ठीक है? दैट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ ऑन प्रेमाइज डेटा सेंटर और ऑन प्रेमाइज
ઓકે,
एनवायरनमेंट. क्लियर?
યસ, ક્લિયર.
मैं इस डायग्राम को चैट में शेयर कर देता हूँ. Let me see. I'll paste this directly.
Yeah, you just send a URL, so it's easy for me.
Yeah. Okay, so we will conclude for today. We'll resume again tomorrow. Okay.
Sure.
So I hope the flow is up to the mark, or I'm not going fast, right?
Right. You can also means if possible, Santosh, so you can also means means ask tell me like easy way, like આપણી ભાષામાં કહેવાય નોર્મલ ભાષામાં બી તમે મને કહી દેશો ને ડીપ
હમ.
સિવાય it means like તો એ મને ફાઈ જશે
તો
એ
કાલથી
બીજી
હું
એ
હિન્દીમાં સેશન લઈ ચાલશે?
ગુજરાતીમાં લેશો તોય મને ચાલશે, કોઈ પ્રોબ્લેમ નથી.
ગુજરાતીમાં મને અમુક વસ્તુ એક્સપ્લેન કરવામાં ડિફિકલ્ટ થશે સમજાવતા.
કઈ વાંધો નહીં, તમે
કારણ કે જો
ઉપરથી
હું
તમે
ઇંગ્લિશમાં જે એક્સપ્લેન કરીશ એના કરતા 10% મારું એક્સપ્લેનેશન જે છે. ફર્સ્ટ લેટ મી સ્ટોપ ધ રેકોર્ડિંગ.
ઓકે